Hey everyone, and welcome to another video in another Assist Aya video series I'm doing on helping you Protoss players improve. Today we're going to be going over a DT drop build. This is a fast expand into DT drop. It's a very safe build. With the mothership core you can be quite greedy, i.e. doing a DT drop into ticking quite hard behind it. And some of you may have seen MVP Tails' guide on TL as to how to do a DT drop, but that build's very gimmicky. I feel it's a kind of gate, cyber, expand before even getting a stalker, and then I think you tick before getting a stalker as well. So I'm going to be looking at a bit more of a safe style of a DT drop. It definitely is a very powerful opening at the moment. With the decreasing cost of the DT shrine, it's just that much more accessible, and also with the mothership core being able to play defensively, you're not going to be dying to any counter attacks, which was the main worry for doing this kind of build in Wings of Liberty. And so I won't do the full replay, it's a bit of a longer game, but we're just going to look at the opening. And I do win the game quite convincingly, but we're just going to get to a point in time where I've got kind of my third base, Colossus HD, and a good upgrades, all off the back of this DT drop build. The main reason why it's so good is that it just contains your opponent very well. To move out, they're going to have a turret at each base, some units around their base, as well as 2 or 3 scans saved up. And just that combination of things means that they're very reluctant to attack, or if they do attack, they're going to have to do a lot of damage, or else they're going to be putting themselves behind. I'll go over a bit of early game stuff as well. This kind of stuff just applies to every game. I have scouted 1 Rax and then no gas. So there's kind of 2 options. Either he's going to be going for a fast expand, which he is doing, or he's going to be all-inning me with Marines and SCVs. I am slightly worried that it might be the latter of the 2, so I am going to be scouting around the map a lot with my early units, but it's just going to be a macro build from him, but always good to be safe. This Zealot is very key against a Marine SCV all-in, but at the same time it's very key in a macro game as well. If your opponent sees that you're going for only 1 gas, which my opponent has seen, then you can eBay block if they skip the Zealot, and that's going to delay your Nexus a lot, so always good to get that Zealot out. So with the Stalker I can chase away this SCV quite well. I do see that he's kind of going to loop back around this way, so I'm just going to leave that to my second Stalker while this Stalker can get a bit of scouting done and be a bit more aggressive on the map. With this build you just want to go for your standard 1 gate FE, and you are very safe. Especially getting these extra stalkers, which I have been doing, it makes you incredibly safe, and as you can see, I've kind of controlled the map at this point, and he's kind of just going to sit behind his bunker for a while. Behind this I do get a very fast second gas geyser. The DT drop build is very gas intensive, so I want to be getting that up quite quickly, especially since you're spending those extra gas, the extra gas on this mothership core. It means that you're going to be quite starved for gas if you got your gas at the same time you would in the Wings of Liberty build. Over here we can see I've got these stalkers positioned outside his base. This is just going to allow me to scout quite well. I can see kind of what he's doing, and there's no real risk to these stalkers. If they do get caught out, I can just pull back quite safely, as long as I've got an eye on the minimap. In the meantime I am dropping a Robo and a Twilight Council. I feel that this works out the best if you can drop them around about the same time. With your Robo you want to be getting that Observer, then the Warp Prism, and that times out pretty much the same as the build time of the Dark Shrine, so this is kind of the optimal timing I feel. Back at my opponent's base, just to check up on him, he has gone for just a 2 Rax into factory. 3 Rax has been more common in Wings of Liberty, but I feel that this is quite nice. Just getting the stim and some nice marine count out quite early, but at the same time getting these medevacs up quite quick. And these stalkers just pulling back when they see these units. I am a bit worried about a widow mine drop. You can go kind of 1 racks into widow mines, and while that is a bit risky from him, it isn't. I mean, it's not gonna pay off too well against a 5 gate all in or something, but against a standard Protoss player you're gonna do very well with that. So I do pull these units back and I do get this observer. Also, you'll note I've built a pylon down here. This just allows me to speed up that drop a bit. I can warp in some DTs here as the warp prism's approaching. It just speeds things up by 4 or 5 seconds. Back at home, I am producing probes constantly, which is quite key for this. You don't want to be slacking in that probe production, or you're just not going to have enough money later on. I am going for this double forge and robotics support bay for the collosus, so it is a very tech intensive build, and you want to be able to have all the minerals and gas that you need. The main reason that I can tech this kind of double forge and collosus at the same time is that my opponent, as I said earlier, is going to be very contained by this DT drop. He's going to have to build a lot of defense and stick a lot of units around just to stay safe. Well, in the meantime, with this mothership core photon overcharge, I can stay very safe at home. So quite important with these DTs, you want to split them up. You don't want them to die to the same scan. You want to force them to build multiple turrets until you have to use multiple scans. I did pick off this SCV building the CC, but he did react quite quickly and put another SCV on it. But that's just very important to be able to slow down their expansions. And he does have to use a scan to kill this one, and then he's going to have to pull units down to kill off this other DT. So I do get quite a few kills, but I do lose the 2 DTs, and now he's going to be quite safe. But I've done a lot of damage, and he's going to have to get a bit aggressive here if he wants to even things out a bit. From here, I do take a very risky expansion. However, I feel it's quite justified. If it does get scouted out, then all I have to do is cancel it, and I haven't lost all that much. But the one thing he could do to try and get back in this game is put his 3rd CC down the low ground very quickly. However, if he does do that, then he can't really get aggressive, as he's going to need units in 3 different locations and 3 different turrets to defend against DTs. So this 3rd expansion would pay off a lot if he did go for that, putting his CC on the low ground. But since he hasn't, I just have to cancel this and defend back at my natural. I do have a colossus that's just finished, and this colossus is going to be the most important part of my defense. We are going to see that I lose it. He does have the same range as these marauders, and the Marines only have 1 more range than him. But at the cost of picking this up, he loses most of the other units, the zealots and the photon overcharge, so it is a very good trade for me nonetheless. I do, especially since I have these upgrades coming, another colossus coming, and this charge. I probably should be dropping here again, although he does have some units here, I guess, so this is kind of damage that the drop's done without actually doing anything. Because he knows that I do have this warp prism, he's forced to keep units at home, and so that's quite painful for him to not be able to attack with all his units. So just by having this, I'm doing damage, even if I'm not actively moving around with it. Just the threat of it is quite damaging. So back at home we can see that I do have the 1-1 upgrades done, the 2-2s starting, adding some more gateways, getting more colossus. Just all those kind of things that you want to get, and this DT drop just allows you to get all those quite safely. We will see that my opponent's bounced back quite well. Despite losing those early SCVs, he has been able to produce a lot more, mainly because of this 3rd CC. And with the mules, he is quite even. If we pop open the economy tab, we can see that he's mining more than me. But that's okay, I do have the most important thing, which is the tech out. The Terran player is generally going to be ahead in economy, so being even with the Terran in economy is very good for a Protoss player. From here, once I get kind of my HT out, I think that's kind of when the game's almost over. Normally, just getting HT out isn't enough because of ghosts can EMP them quite well, but I've staggered my opponent's economy enough that I will be able to just kind of pull ahead even more with my 3-3 up, 2-2's about to finish, and then I'll get 3-3 very quickly as well, and the Storm, when that's done, he's only just adding his Ghost Academy, so he doesn't really have the infrastructure that I do either. I've got a lot of gateways, as well as this robotics bay. And we're going to see the strength of this overcharge here. I just pop it on the Nexus and he has to pull back. And this gives me valuable time to finish these upgrades. If he'd been able to fight there straight away, maybe things would have gone slightly worse for me, but with this 2-2 finished, these Zealots are going to be very powerful against these units. I don't have Storm done. If I did have that done, this fight would have been very one-sided, but despite that, I'm going to be able to still feed back these medevacs. And there we go. 3 of them just dead straight away. And from here, we can see that I can just produce a couple more Colossus. I've got a lot of econ going, so I'm going to speed up a little bit just to get through the rest of this. But I think the main point of this video was to show the DT drop build, and it got me into a very good position. I obviously didn't play off the mid game perfectly, but I did do well enough to kind of put me even further ahead. And with these 3-3 upgrades, I just kind of for the rest of the game hit a timing with that, and well, my opponent just can't defend. He's got a very small army at the moment and not quite enough infrastructure, so I only really wanted to go through the build order, so we're not going to go through the whole replay, but yeah. So hopefully you guys took a bit from this and can use this build on the ladder a bit. It's very safe with that mothership core while doing a lot of damage to your opponent and setting you up for a very, very strong mid to late game army with those upgrades. So thanks for watching. If you have any requests or feedback, then just post in the comment section on YouTube. This video will be posted on SCV Rush as well. You can probably notice that I've got a very nice looking overlay from them. So the videos are posted on their website as well, and there's also coaching on their website, and they host weekly, I think, or bi-weekly tournaments which you can enter. I think there's a BSG and a GPD or something like that, so go check them out, and thanks for watching.